I still remember the moment the white dove flew over my head. It was a simple thing, just a flash of white against a somber grey sky, almost easy to miss in the sea of bowed heads and silent prayers that filled St. Peter's Square that morning. Yet for me it was not a coincidence. It was a sign, pure and undeniable, a final push from a higher hand urging me to finally speak the truth I had buried deep inside my soul for decades. As the dove soared above, a strange warmth spread through my chest, like a message written not with words but with light. If you could confess one thing today, what would it be? Share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes, releasing your truth can lift the weight from someone else's heart, too. My name is Thomas Whitaker. I'm 84 years old, and as I lie here in this sterile hospital bed, the hum of machines and the faint clicking of the IV drip are the only companions to my final days. The room itself feels like a waiting room between worlds, cold, pale, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. Yet, in this quiet, I feel more alive than I have in years. Outside, through the thin hospital curtains, I can see a slice of the Roman sky heavy with spring clouds. Life continues, indifferent to the slow fading of an old man tucked away behind white walls and quiet prayers. On the far wall, there is a small wooden cross, crooked, weathered, yet stubbornly present. My daughter Eleanor insisted on placing it there last week, saying it would comfort me. I smiled at her then, a smile heavy with gratitude and unspoken regret. Eleanor, she has always been the embodiment of the best parts of Margaret and me, though she never knew the full truth of her father's failings. Perhaps that is why I find myself whispering this confession into the stillness now, hoping that in the end, honesty will matter more than perfection. I have lived a life built on appearances, the devoted son who never disobeyed, the loving husband who never strayed, the father who set an example. But appearances are fragile things, brittle under the weight of unspoken truths, and the truth, once ignored, grows heavier with each passing year, until it buries the heart beneath layers of fear and pride. That heavy truth followed me ghost-like all the way to St. Peter's Square. When the news of Pope Francis's death reached me, a man I had admired from afar for his humanity, his humility, his relentless call for forgiveness, I knew I could not ignore it. I felt a stirring inside, like an ancient wound reopening, demanding to be seen at last. I made the journey to the Vatican alone, leaning heavily on a wooden cane that had once belonged to my grandfather. My steps were slow, careful, as if each one was a quiet battle between the body and the will. Around me, pilgrims from every corner of the world filled the square, their faces etched with sorrow and reverence. Some clutched rosaries, others held candles or photographs of the late Pope. All of us carried something unseen: grief, gratitude, regret. The day was overcast, the clouds thick like wool, pressing down on the earth with a weight that mirrored the heaviness in my chest. As the service began, I found a place among the mourners, my old fingers wrapped tightly around my mother's worn rosary beads. I muttered the prayers I had learned as a boy, the words dry and unfamiliar on my tongue after so many years of silence. Yet somehow they felt right, like an old melody remembered after decades of forgetting. The choir sang, and incense curled into the cold air, thin ribbons of smoke rising toward the heavens. My mind wandered to my own mortality, the looming certainty that I, too, would soon stand before my Creator. Was it too late for me? Could a lifetime of silence and cowardice be forgiven by one simple act of truth? And then, as if heaven itself had answered my unspoken question, it happened. The white dove appeared. It broke through the low-hanging clouds with a suddenness that stole my breath. It dipped and soared, its wings shining with an ethereal glow that set it apart from everything else, a living flame against the drab canvas of sorrow. It swooped low over the crowd, close enough that I could feel the rush of air from its wings brush against my wrinkled face. In that moment, everything around me faded. The murmurs, the songs, the shuffling of restless feet. It was as if the world had stopped, holding its breath. I felt a presence wrap around my heart, not a voice, not even a thought, but a deep knowing. It is time. Tears I hadn't shed in years welled up and spilled down my cheeks. My knees threatened to buckle, and for a moment I clutched my cane. As though it alone tethered me to the earth, I knew then I could no longer die with this burden sealed inside me. I must tell you now, before my breath runs out, the truth I once buried like a dead thing. Long ago, I betrayed the one person who loved me most purely in this world. It happened over 50 years ago, in the turbulent years of early marriage, when dreams clash against reality like ships against rock, Margaret. Oh, my Margaret. She was everything I was not, patient where I was rash, kind where I was proud, faithful where I wavered. Her smile could light up the darkest corners of a room, and her laughter was a balm I did not deserve. We married young, clinging to each other against the uncertainties of life. I was ambitious, eager to make a name for myself in law. She was my anchor, always steady, always believing in me, even when I stopped believing in myself. Work consumed me. I traveled more and more, chasing success with a hunger that dulled my senses to what truly mattered. And somewhere in one of those lonely cities, in a moment of weakness and selfishness, I faltered. It was not love. It wasn't even meaningful. A fleeting encounter, meaningless in the grand sweep of life, yet heavy enough to sink a soul. I convinced myself it didn't matter, that I could return home, hold Margaret close and pretend I was still worthy of her. But the guilt clung to me like smoke, seeping into my skin, my dreams, my prayers. I thought of telling her, God knows I did. I imagined sitting across from her at our kitchen table, confessing through tears. I imagined her face. Would it crumble into sorrow or harden into something colder, something beyond forgiveness? Fear silenced me. And so I lived the next 15 years side by side with her, carrying a secret that rotted the core of every smile, every kiss, every tender moment we shared. When Margaret fell ill, a slow, wasting sickness that no doctor could name, I tended to her with desperate devotion. I read her favorite books aloud. I played her beloved hymns on the piano she once filled our home with. I tried, in every way, to atone without ever speaking the words she deserved to hear. She passed away one cold November morning, her hand limp. In mine, her final breath a soft sigh against the sterile air. I whispered, I love you, against her cooling skin. But what I wanted to say, needed to say, was, I'm sorry. I will never know if she truly suspected. There were moments when her eyes lingered on mine, too long, too knowing. But if she did know, she chose mercy over condemnation, silence over shattering our family. And now, so many years later, that choice haunts me more than any words of anger ever could. Standing in St. Peter's Square beneath the heavy sky, feeling the touch of that dove's wing, I finally understood what Pope Francis had tried to teach the world. That true courage is not in hiding our flaws, but in bearing them to the light. I speak now not to be absolved, but to unburden my soul before it takes its last journey. Margaret, wherever you are, if you can see into the cracks of this broken heart, know that I have loved you every moment since, even when I failed you, especially when I failed you. I pray that where you are, there are no shadows, only music and light and the endless grace you once showed me. And I pray that when I cross over, soon, so soon, you might meet me not with judgment, but with the open arms you always offered so freely in life. To those who hear my confession, let it be a lesson. Do not wait until your body is too weak, your time too short. Speak your truth now. Seek forgiveness now. Love honestly now. There is no shame in brokenness, only in refusing to mend it while we still can. Thank you for listening to my story. If this touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your own story in the comments below. You never know whose soul your honesty might save. And remember, sometimes even a single white dove can carry a message strong enough to heal a lifetime of silence.